Hey, how about a way to do vocabulary work that's actually meant to build your vocabulary? Crazy idea, huh? Well, it's me, Moser again, and after this video, you should be able to describe how to add to your working vocabulary. You should be able to then use these techniques to complete work in my class and build your bio vocabulary, and use these techniques to master any vocabulary you want to learn. That'd be cool. So now let's talk about lakes and boats and beach balls. Imagine you're out in the middle of a lake. Maybe you've got a life vest. That'd be nice, PFD. And somebody throws you something. You don't really have a place to put it. You don't have anything to connect it to. You can't set it down. Heck, you're just trying to float out there yourself. This is a problem. And this is kind of like when a new vocabulary word gets thrown at you and you've never heard it before and you really don't know much about it. You don't have a place to put that. You don't have anything to tie it to. It's like a beach ball when you're floating out in the middle of a lake. It's kind of useless. Well, what if we get you a boat? A boat would help. So if you're in a boat out in the middle of a lake and somebody throws you a beach ball, you at least have a place to set it down. Maybe you could sort it and put it with the other, I don't know, inflatable things that you've got in the boat or the other water toys you've got in the boat. But you can categorize it, you can sort it, and you have a place to store it. That's a little bit better. So that's after you've heard a new word a few times and you're still not sure what it means. It's still not completely connected to other things in your brain, but you've at least got a start. One big problem with this scenario, of course, is that, well, you're still out in the middle of a lake in a boat, and I don't see a paddle. Okay, let's give you a paddle. Let's give you a way to go someplace. Well, this is kind of like looking at sentences that use your new vocabulary word. Looking at your word in context. That gives you a way to go someplace with that word because, well, you kind of know where that word can get you. But really, what we really want is a way to connect that word back to your actual life. We want a way to tie that word to your experiences and to the other words that you know and the other words that you can use to make it part of your working vocabulary. For that, we're going to have to build a doc. And once we've got a doc built, once you've been able to use that word in context, read that word in context, discuss that word, understand the parts that make up that word's yours. Your boat is tied up, you can get to shore, you can play games with your new beach ball, you can share it with your friends, you can do all kinds of cool stuff because you got this under control. Now, to apply this to vocabulary, what are you going to need? You are going to need the words you plan to learn. You're also going to need at least one list of prefixes, roots, and suffixes. If you have access to a couple, that's fine too. And you'll need one or more dictionaries. Online dictionaries like Lexico, Merriam-Webster's, and Dictionary.com are just fine. And ideally, you'll have someone to discuss your vocabulary with. That could be a friend who's trying to learn the same words you are. That's helpful. So, if you happen to be in my biology class, you'll recognize this because it's your vocabulary packet, and you'll see one of these with every unit and grid all year long. For every word that's listed, there are 3 boxes, A, B, and C. And there are some instructions up here. So it says very clearly, do this first. So part A says things you recognize in this word. Prefixes, suffixes, bases, and their meaning. If you think you know what the word means right off the top of your head, try to define it off the top of your head. So let's start with step A. The first word we've got here is antibiotic. And I can see 2 things in there that I know I've seen in other words. I have anti and I have bio. Now, if you are in my class, I'm going to show you 2 really awesome suffix, prefix, and base lists. So when I go to look up the word antibiotic in Lexico, which is quickly becoming one of my favorite online dictionaries, I find this definition: a medicine such as penicillin or its derivatives that inhibits the growth of or destroys microorganisms. So it's a medicine that destroys microorganisms. Wait, those are living things. Oh. The medicine that destroys microorganisms. It's against life. It's against little living things. Okay, now, did I copy every word in that definition? I didn't. But here's what I'm going to say. You know what it means to destroy something. Do you know what it means to inhibit something? If you don't know the word, either look it up or make a note. So I've written down a good definition for antibiotic. I'm going to go on and we'll do one more word together and then you're on your own. What the heck? Let's pick asexual reproduction, number 12 on your list. So number 1, I have 2 words there, asexual and reproduction. Let's look for prefixes, suffixes, and roots. So right off I see a as a prefix on asexual, and I see re, as a prefix on reproduction. What do those mean? Okay, well my handy-dandy list here says that a means without, like someone who's apolitical or an atheist or an anarchist, a or an. Without. Okay. So there's the prefix for my first word. Well, what about the rest of that word? Sex? Sexual? Well, I actually think I know what that means. You can wing it and try your own definition. Interestingly enough, that didn't come up as a root on either of the prefix, suffix, and root lists. Well, let's look at reproduction. What does re mean? Re, again, to go back or to redo, to do it again. Re, again. Well, what does produce mean, or production? Well, doesn't that mean to make something? Notice that I did that without a prefix, suffix, or root list. I know what it means to produce something. There may be a part of a word that you recognize, that you see. So, without sex, to reproduce, to produce, to make again, like to have a baby? Let's look up asexual reproduction. Now, there's a catch here. It's 2 words and it's a scientific term. So I'm actually going to start off with the term asexual. So I've looked up asexual again on lexico.com, and the first one is about sexual feelings or associations. That's not my definition. But if you keep scrolling down, you will often find a second definition that says biology. Asexual, biology of reproduction, not involving the fusion of gametes. What does that mean? If you don't understand the definition, you may have to look it up in more than one source. And that's a fine definition if I knew what gametes were. So I have a couple choices. I can either look up gametes, or let's go ahead and look up the word reproduction. Again, Lexico, if I keep scrolling down, I find a biology definition. Reproduction, the production of offspring by sexual or asexual process. Okay, so we know we're talking about making babies here, sexual or asexual process. So I've gone and looked up gametes. Using Lexico, I get a mature haploid male or female germ cell which is able to unite with another of the opposite sex in sexual reproduction to form gamete, a zygote. That's got a lot of words that you might not know, so that's not real helpful. So I'm going to check dictionary.com, and what do you know? They have a simpler definition. A mature sexual reproductive cell, such as egg or sperm, that unites with another cell to form a new organism. Oh, so wait a minute. Reproduction not involving the fusion of gametes means not involving the fusion of, reproduction not involving the fusion of eggs and sperm. Oh, well, that makes a lot more sense. This is the kind of process that you're going to do on these A's and B's. Now, what about Part C? You're going to do Part C later. Once you feel like you really understand what this word means, once you've talked about it, done exercises about it, seen web simulations about it, discussed it extensively, you're going to write a definition for Part C that's very much in your own words. Because when you've got a word that's part of your working vocabulary, you can clearly and fluently explain it in your own words. So, once you've gotten your prefixes, roots, and suffixes. You've looked up dictionary definitions. You need to be using this word. So if these are words that you're going to add to your vocabulary, you need to be using them, reading them in context, and talking about them with friends. That will all build a structure in your brain that word fits into, so it becomes part of your actual working vocabulary. Good luck!